What do I look for in a house if I have a pet or maybe many pets?
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
Hi, I'm Yetta Decker.
And I'm Leah Dixon.
And we're welcoming you to another episode of The Inside Track, where we're going to explore techniques, thoughts, and tools that we all need, we all deserve. You, I, everyone, so that we can turn our house into a home and actually live the best life possible while our families thrive, which is pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
So there are many pet. Okay, that's how I feel about pets some days. They're friends, right? That was those two words put together. Friendly pets. There are many friendly pet homes, and there's lots of things to take into consideration to make sure the home either that you're living in or the home that you might want to be purchasing, how to make it pet friendly.
Right.
And Leah is a bit of an expert. Why are you a bit of an expert?
Well, not only do I love animals, but I've had love in my previous life, if you want to call it that. I was a veterinary technician. I've had a lot of pets over the years, many different types of pets. So there's a lot of different considerations when looking at a house when you have pets, but it's dependent on what kind of pet you have as well.
Right. And so the most typical pets would be dogs and cats.
Correct.
Right? Those are kind of our top two. So we'll make sure we don't get too exotic for too long. However, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about a parrot house.
Exactly.
Right. And so dogs and cats are the most common, and then small caged animals, whether it's hamsters or guinea pigs or rats or mice, because I have nieces and nephews that have had many of those. I have not succumbed to that. You probably have.
Rats are actually very good pets.
I know, that's what I've been told. Or bunnies.
Yeah.
Bunnies, many indoor bunnies. And so the caged animals are a little bit different, snakes and that kind of thing, because it doesn't take the same number of considerations.
No, not nearly as many. And cats are pretty easy as well. There's not a lot of considerations for cats. One of the things you need to look for is secured screens, because everybody knows cats love to sit perched in windows, right? And so if they're on a second floor...
Does everybody know that?
Well, cat lovers do.
There's the trick. Are you a cat lover? Okay.
So you don't want a second floor window where your cat's going to sit out there to look outside and have them lean a little too hard against the screen and fall out. Yes, cats do land on their feet many times, but falling from a second story window would not be good for them.
Right. So securing screens is a great tip. And it's something I never thought of when I had cats, and I had them for like 9 years. I loved them. They were very sweet. And now I'm really happy I don't have cats. So we had talked about, I'm going to confess, we had talked about doing a show on the pros and cons of buying a house for animals. And we decided we won't do that because many of you would not like me very much when it was all said and done. Not that I loved when we had our animals. I think our lifestyle is such now that it doesn't have room. Right. And that makes some people really sad for me. Don't be sad for me. I'm not sad for me. And the reason we decided to do this together is Leah still has, and I'm going to say still, and I think it's going to last a lifetime, a huge soft heart for animals of any kind.
And I can't imagine not having a pet.
Right.
To me, my house would seem empty if I didn't have a pet in it.
Or many pets.
Or many, yes.
Or many. And so that's why we thought we would do a show on just what does it take to create a pet-friendly environment and what do we want to think about. So I never thought about screens, and what a great tip. So if you've got any sort of animal, even a small dog, some of them like to crawl into windows. I've seen, like not windows, but sills and stuff. Mm-hmm. So having the screen secure. Exactly. Perfect. What other things do we want to think about? So we'll focus primarily on dogs probably because there's a lot more to consider.
Yep.
And then have a little fun around the parrots.
Well, with dogs, one of the considerations would be a fenced yard. That would be a big one, a securely fenced yard. A lot of times people have little dogs that are diggers and they can find the weak spots in the fence and just have to dig a little bit and out they go. So a secured fence is really good. Sometimes there's dog runs. People put dog runs in their backyards, and those can be wonderful to have. The only comment I would have around that is be careful where it's located. I had a wonderful dog run at my last house, and it happened to sit right next to the hot tub. So, yes.
I had one of those too. So I'm going to confess that is one stinky proposition.
You have to really stay on top of it and be careful what you have in the dog run. If it's just grass, the smells are going to stay. Mulch is horrible for soaking up the urine smells. I used pea gravel, and I found that was the best. It was the best for cleaning up and for not being as odorous.
Right.
So the last thing you want is to have this beautiful space in your backyard, a hot tub, a nice patio, and all you can smell is dog waste. That's not a nice thing.
And it's something we hadn't thought about because we did the same thing. We put the dog run under the deck because then there was a bit of cover in winter, and that was really gross.
Right.
It didn't work well. And it was also close to the house, and this dog was a Houdini. So he could climb and scale the fence and get out.
Right.
So thinking about the type of fencing, because then there's also the electronic fencing. And so some people think they're phenomenal and can work, and others find those difficult because there are communities, and this is something really to think about when you're thinking about where you want to buy your home. There are communities in Ottawa and outside Ottawa that do not allow traditional fences.
Right.
And so the only option is an electronic fence or an electric fence. And so you've got to consider, is that a community you want to live in, or do you want a secure, proper fence?
Right. So the other thing to consider if you don't have a fenced backyard, so maybe you found the perfect property, it has everything you want, but it doesn't have a fenced yard for your dog. Well, it's not the end of the world as long as you're very careful. If you happen to live on a busy street, you have to be careful that you don't let your dog out in a non-secured yard and have them get out to the street. So what we've done in the house that we have currently, we don't have a secure area for the dogs. They go out on ropes, and they don't mind that. The rope is long enough that, they can go out and do their business where they need to, but we're comforted in knowing that they can't just take off. We're out there with them, but if there's somebody walking down the street with a dog, Carly's just going to take off, and she wants to go say hello. So we keep her on a rope so she can't do that. She can't, go get hit by a car in the street or, scare somebody who happens to be afraid of dogs as they're walking down the street.
Right, that makes sense. Another consideration would be stairs, especially if you have a dog that has some hip issues or is elderly or is just the type of dog that isn't meant to really do stairs, like apparently French bulldogs.
Yes, French bulldogs. Yeah.
Some do. Our daughter has one, and he can do stairs one leap.
Right.
And he's down. However, that's not typical. So just thinking about the type of animals that you're going to have and what style of house actually will work.
Right.
And what about water sources?
Well, you have to be very careful with that too. Sometimes people will say, okay, there's a fenced area around our pool, so that'll be safe to let our dogs out there. Not necessarily. You want to be able to be sure that the dogs can safely get out of the pool if they fall in or if they jump in.
Because they might do that, right?
Exactly.
And so parrots. I know we bought a house around parrots before, for you actually. And so sometimes there are specific considerations where you have a unique pet that needs a unique environment. And so if that's the case, clearly we want to know about that. Otherwise, I think the typical considerations is really what we have to think about.
Right.
Perfect. So animals are such an agreeable bunch of friends because they ask no questions and they pass no judgments. And the author of that was not yet a Decker. It was George Eliot. And so we're grateful to be your partners on the journey and looking forward to continuing to build wealth through real estate with you.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.